Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a little video regarding my birth story or experience, and then also just talk about a little bit about my daughter's stay at the NICU since she's currently there. I know I've been posting shorts regarding visiting her and taking her milk and stuff like that, so I wanted to just go ahead and talk a little bit about it and how everything went down and why she's there and all that good stuff. You guys have been following along with me in my shorts and stuff like that. You guys know that I had gestational diabetes, and then I also had cholestasis towards the end of my pregnancy, which therefore ended up changing my due date. At first, because of the gestational diabetes, I was supposed to have her at 39 weeks, which was March 13th. But then with the cholestasis diagnosis, then it got pushed forward to 37 weeks, which was Friday, February 27th. And the whole gestational diabetes, it was kind of normal for me because I had it with my previous pregnancy, but this time I had to take insulin, so that was the only different thing. And then the cholestasis, that came along later, but pretty much if you're pregnant and you're itchy, tell your doctor and get some lab works done, because that's how I found out I had that. They put me on medication for a week and a half, and then I was at my 37-week mark, and then that's why I had my C-section then. Okay, so now for the actual C-section, or the birth part of it, it was actually pretty good. My son's was really traumatic. To make the long story short, I'll tell you guys. I had just gestational diabetes, like I said, so I was induced at 39 weeks, and that was fine. The induction didn't go as planned, so I ended up having to have an emergency C-section after like 20 hours. The baby came out through the C-section, and then shortly after, in the recovery room, I thought I had peed myself, but it actually was blood. So then I started hemorrhaging and then almost passing out, and then they had to get all of that under control, because I honestly, that part's a blur, but I just was fainting and stuff like that. But anyways, eventually I got better, and I had to get a couple blood transfusions and all of that stuff that you have to do when you hemorrhage. So for my first birth experience, that was a little crazy because it was not something we were expecting. Having that said, going into this pregnancy, they knew that I had hemorrhaged from my first pregnancy. So going in, they actually had blood on standby just in case the same thing happened this time. And I was also low on iron, which I was low on iron on my son's delivery too. So same things happened this time around. So because of that, I was feeling a little bit more comfortable because they were aware of my previous pregnancy, and then they were preparing for this one, which it made me feel so much better. Now for the actual C-section, it was such a peaceful experience because my first one, like I said, it was an emergency, so everything just happened so fast. I was, in labor, and then all of a sudden I had to go into the operating room, and just a lot was happening, especially because it was my first birth. This time around, it was scheduled, so I literally had to just show up at the hospital at whatever time they told me. I went in there, they prepped me, they do all the blood work and all that stuff. They take you to the operating room, and then pretty much within like 45 minutes, the baby's out, which was awesome. Like I said, super peaceful. It was great. Like I was talking to my fiance, everything like normal. So then after that, they take you to the recovery room, and that's where I started hemorrhaging again. So I was at the recovery room. They usually like press your stomach and stuff like that. So once they did that, it was like a faucet of water was turned on, and that was just like blood coming out. But like I said, they had blood on standby. So and like I had experienced this before, so I kind of knew what was happening. Yes, you feel terrible, you start to pass out, you faint. I actually ended up feeling really hot, and they said it's because of the sudden blood pressure, I think, that it dropped, and then I just started to feel really hot, and I started taking off my gown. But they were like, that's normal. They started the transfusions and stuff like that shortly after. But backtracking a little bit, this, like I said, the C-section was good, everything was good. However, when my daughter was born, she was having a little problems breathing. So right from the operating room, shortly after, they let me take a few pictures with her and let me see her and stuff like that. But then instead of taking her to the recovery room with me, they actually had to take her to the NICU and check her out. So they did that, and then once we were able to get news, it turned out that she had fluid in her lungs, and then she also had like issues breathing. So that's why she has been in there for almost, tomorrow will be a week. They have slowly taken her off of the oxygen, so now she's fine. Well, at first, you know, they were regulating her oxygen to different levels, but they finally like took her off. She's off the oxygen. She also had a like a eating tube in her nose, because you can't like suck and have oxygen at the same time. So yesterday they finally were able to take it out, and she's been able to drink out of a bottle. Today I tried to like breastfeed her, and she did great. So she's breathing well now that she's not on oxygen. They have been like making sure she's fine when she's drinking, so she doesn't like get too exhausted and then like have issues breathing. So that's something that they have been working on her with, which has been great. She's been drinking her bottles, she's been able to nurse, and she has had no episodes. So we're hoping that hopefully by tomorrow she gets to come home. But that's pretty much why we were in the NICU. They wanted to monitor the fluids in her lungs, and then her breathing. They want her to have stable breathing before she comes home. She's also fairly small. She was 6 pounds 6 ounces when she was born, but she dropped down to, right now she was 5 pounds 9 ounces. So she did drop a little weight. I'm not sure if they're gonna want to keep her until she gains a little bit more weight, or if they will discharge her now that she's dropped some weight. So we're kind of seeing what they say in regards to that. But other than that, if her breathing continues to be stable, then I think she would be good to come home. We're excited to have her home, because it's weird going into the hospital pregnant and then leaving without a baby. It's almost like I've been pregnant for so long, and then you don't get to bring a baby home, you know? So it has been sad, but we've been managing to go and visit her, and I take her milk every single time. Luckily, I've been having a really good milk production, so I've been able to take her like 8 of the 2-ounce bottles of milk every single time I go. So we're super happy with that. I may not be able to, you know, be with her and nurse her every single time, but I'm blessed to be able to like provide that for her. So, you know, fingers crossed that tomorrow's the day and that she gets to come home and meet her little brother, her bigger brother, for the first time, and we get to be together as a family.